Ridgerunner Nation, we are back and better than ever with a new edition of the Weekly Rundown. This week we've got results from Ozark Trail 100, Peyote 100, the New York City Marathon, and more. We'll tell you all the news you need to know and take a look at all of your fun activities in the world of Strava. Oh, in case you didn't watch last week's episode, Wesley's back. Oh yeah, Wesley jumped on a trail and somehow ended up in Philadelphia. Okay. Wesley, how's Paul Barty doing on his streak?
Mr. Barty extended his half marathon distance streak to 465 straight weeks with another weekly half, this time part pavement and part trails. The thing that caught my eye was the shoes that Barty was wearing on this particular day. Strava claims, and I quote, that he wore the New Balance MT 910-GY #50, 9, 4E, trail shoes, end quote. I do not think I've ever seen anything like this, and I would love to be able to decipher these color codes and all this other information that is probably packed into the model of these shoes that probably Ridgerunner Nation can decipher for us. So if you guys know exactly what shoe that is and the colorway of it, let us know in the comments below. Well done, Paul. Let's send it back to John for some race results.
First up is a race that doesn't really need any more attention, but the TCS New York City Marathon took place over the weekend, and this world-renowned race takes you through the heart of New York City, ending in the wonderful and beautiful Central Park. The interesting thing about November is that you'll never know what you're going to get. It could be snowing, it could be raining. This year it turned out pretty good. We had over 50,000 runners take place in the event. That's just like I can't even fathom that many people. With first place overall in the marathon going to Jeffrey Kamwar in 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 13 seconds. Great job, everybody, and hopefully one day I'll get to take place in this race.
The Ozark Trail 100-mile endurance run took place over the weekend in the Mark Twain National Forest. Before I go any further, please note that this race is west of the Mississippi River. If you are an East Coaster, click the screen now and you'll be redirected to a separate video that we created talking about how great the East Coast is. Upon further inspection, this race actually does seem like a great one. Runners remain on the single track for almost the entire way and face multiple stream crossings. Personally, I would make the runners cross the Mississippi, but what do I know? Results have yet to be posted at the time of recording, but this is definitely a race that Ridgerunner Nation might be interested in the future. Congrats to all the Ozark Trail runners in 2019. The Peyote 100 took place in Alabama this past weekend, and this race is a Western States and UTMB qualifier. This race runs through the Talladega National Forest and features 14,000 feet of elevation gain. We saw one Ridgerunner Nation member finish the race, and that was Annie Lang. This was her second time running the race, and this time it sounded like she had a lot more fun than the last time. If you are interested in a full recap from Annie's race, check out her podcast, BRF, Barf, wherever you get your podcasts. Awesome work, Annie.
Ridgerunner Nation, what is up? So, a couple things to add to Wesley's Ridgerunner call for the nation. What we want you guys out and wherever your trails are, wherever you run, whether that be urban, city streets, out here in the woods, whatever it is. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from you all. We want you all on the show, representing Ridgerunner Nation. So we don't care where you're at. Like I said, you can be out on the trails, road, city. We just want to hear you and your message. Don't worry too much about your camera, your audio quality. We'll do our best to make it sound as good as possible. We'll even subtitle if we have to. So, we want to hear it.
All right, let's jump into the news section. Have you ever wondered what it is about endurance sports that attracts people to it? I mean, when you really look at it, like, you gotta be crazy some way, shape, or form to run 50, 100 plus miles. According to a new thesis from Lund University in Sweden, crazy isn't one of those reasons. Karius Egenweier interviewed a small sample of endurance runners and found that there are 3 motivating factors that runners use to describe their running, and it's freedom, achievement, and competition. Karius goes on to say that most runners are motivated by a feeling of total freedom, a place where they can fully immerse themselves. At the end, Karius calls for future research to better understand how these endurance sports affect our minds and bodies. Interesting stuff. I'm curious, why do you all run? Is it for the competition or the freedom, or do you have another reason? Let us know in that comment section below.
Over the weekend in Chicago, we saw one police Chicago sergeant have quite the day. Sergeant Nowaki was running the All-State Hot Chocolate Run in full SWAT gear. As he approached the finish line, he saw someone unresponsive and a bunch of people screaming for a medic. He sprung into action and started to perform CPR on the woman until EMS arrived. The hospital later claimed that Nowaki's swift actions saved the woman's life. This wasn't even so that was the story, right? Like, that was the best part. Nope, it's not over yet. Nowaki went on to finish the race, and at the finish line, he proposed to his girlfriend, who said yes. What a story, and congrats to the Nowakis.
Have you ever heard of historical running? Well, one runner in New York City has found a way to make his ultra running more exciting. He calls himself a historical runner. At the beginning of his historical running career, he started with a solo 22-mile Edgar Allan Poe run, where he ran to every home and address that Poe lived in during his time in New York City. He also completed a solo 74-mile run where he tracked Nikola Tesla all over New York and Long Island. I find this is an awesome way to get through these long miles, but I don't know if I could do the pre-research to figure all that stuff out. Adelaide says that this type of running has taken him to new levels mentally and physically. I'll have to figure out if there's a way to do that around here. Now for our Strava rundown. Remember, if you want to get noticed on the rundown, join the Ridge Runners Club on Strava by visiting that link in the description below. Chris Schwerian took first place in the Plains Halloween 10K last week. This wonderful course features the Hocking River and some pavement. This year consisted of one runner, and good job, Chris, on your first place win. Tony Cavalin took to the streets with Link, Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, and what looks like Abe Lincoln. Nice. Eric Anderson hit 3,000 miles for the year, and he's still got 2 months left. What about 3,500? Robert Hill took 11th overall and 4th in the 45 to 49 age group at the Bonfire Trail Fest. Congrats on that awesome finish. This next activity is probably the craziest thing I've seen on Strava ever. Justin Wickman ran 41.02 miles while binge watching an entire season of Stranger Things on the treadmill. Like, WTF, are you serious? What the f? These activities are so contradictory of each other that I have no idea what to say. But nonetheless, what an impressive run, and it's a great way to watch Stranger Things, which is an awesome show. Here's a picture of Paul Barty. Nothing else needs to be said about that. And with that, thanks for tuning into this week's rundown from the Ridge Runners. Be sure to check back next week to stay updated on all things trail and ultra, mostly east of the Mississippi. In addition, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell below if you want to get notified every time we release a new video. And if you enjoy our shows, give it a share with your friends and hit that like button along the way. I'm your host, John Dolovacki, and we'll see you next week on the Weekly Rundown.